today we're going to talk about the next steps. We did this fantastic roof raise. As you can see, it is very tall in here, very spacious. I'm 5'8" with a normal arm reach, and I'm still a couple inches away from touching the roof. Now that'll change after we put flooring in and the insulation, so there'll be like 3 inches raised on the floor and then probably like an inch or two on the ceiling. So it'll change, but let's go into what we're doing next, and hopefully we'll figure out some of the odds and ends. Okay, so sheet metal's ordered. I ordered 12 sheets of 16 gauge metal, and this is just plain metal. I did not get galvanized because the price difference was double the price for galvanized, because they had to ship it out and it'd be 3 weeks before they got it hot tip galvanized. Wasn't gonna do it. Wasn't worth the price to me. I have the resource and the ability to just paint it right away with some primer, which we found some red primer that's pretty close to that color. It's pretty close to what the bus will be actually, so why not prime it a similar color so that when we do the final coat of paint, it just looks really nice. So yeah, we ordered that, and the sheets are 4 foot by 8 foot, so similar to like drywall sheets, plywood sheets, all that, very standard. These sheets will be going on the outside of the bus, and unfortunately this gap of this span right here is 4 feet. So in order to get the overlap on the outside, so basically it'll just go sit on the outside so that when water drips down, it'll go whoop over the seam instead of into the seam. That'll make sense in a second once I show that. And then also it's got to tuck up inside. So I got enough so that I could sheet all the way around, 4 by 8 sheets going all the way around, and then a little extra so that we could get in there and sheet the 12 inches or whatever gap that we're gonna have. The only problem, there's no problem. That's it. Then once we have money to buy the windows, we will just come back afterwards and just draw it out, cut it out, and then put the windows in after the fact. Now, we already talked about how we're not putting a window in every one of these windows, but we'll be putting a window in approximately most of the front here till we get to kind of the mid part. We're gonna stop because there's gonna be a bunch of cabinets. There's a bathroom right here. Over here, I think we're keeping those. And then back here, there's gonna be a whole like 8-foot section that there's no windows. Same with over here, but almost all that side. Anyway, there's a lot of windows going and a lot of windows staying. And a lot of people are saying, don't keep the windows. And I wanted to keep the windows because it's cheaper. But I think thinking future-wise, down the road, longevity of the bus, not taking any unnecessary risk of moisture intrusion and all that, we decided to go for RV windows, which we haven't really found a source, but we're sure they're going to cost like between $200 to maybe $500 per window, unless we find some at a wrecking yard, which we're going to be pursuing that. So yeah, that's kind of the gist on the windows. Okay, so rub rails have to come off, and the reason for that is just ease of getting the sheet metal in. So that just requires taking these bottom ones off, because I've already taken most of the top ones off. And then basically the sheet will come down about maybe there, maybe a little bit like there, and that'll make it so that there'll be a bunch of overlap. You won't have to worry about water intrusion really. So and then up top here, let me get up top, the sheet metal will just slip in here. So it'll go underneath into that crease so that water just goes over and out. Hey everybody, it's a busy day, but we're getting back to getting everything prepped for the sheet metal. A couple steps I gotta do. I gotta drill out a pattern for the holes in the new hat channels, because those don't have any holes in them. And all of the holes that are existing have to be drilled out to a little bit bigger, depending on the size rivet I choose to do, which 1/4 inch structural rivets are the way I'm doing it. So take some videos of how I do that, but I got a couple tools, make it pretty easy. All right, a couple things here. I've got my 17/64 drill bit. That's just a hair bigger than a 1/4 inch, so that allows the rivets to just go in real easily. Then I've got my deburring tool to make it kind of have a little indent so that the rivet really grabs in there. There's no burrs to prevent good sealant on there. And then I've got my little pattern here, and I'll show you. I'm basically going to just be putting this up, lining these holes right here, and then those boom, boom, the 3 above that, I'm just going to drill in, and it'll drill right through that brand new material. And we're gonna have a pretty consistent bolt pattern, and then once we get the sheet metal on, what we're gonna do is we're gonna place it on there, and then we're gonna drill from the back, deburr, and then basically just put the rivets in. All right, to show you what I got going on here, just some bolts. Got the nut on the inside so it stays in there. Slip it in the bottom, which I have to drill out first because otherwise it doesn't fit. So I'm gonna have to drill out the bottom ones on all those, which is fine. And then I just have a pattern every, well, I don't know, 10 inches or something. So at least they're consistent. Once we put them all on, we'll drill out from those holes into the sheet metal, and then it'll look all uniform and nice all the way down. That's a key thing because you don't want it squirrely or whatever. But we don't need to deburr these ones necessarily, but I'll show you how that looks and how that will work for when we actually do the sheet metal. So this is kind of not really like a step drill bit, just had some blades on it. And essentially what I'm gonna do, put it in the hole, and you can just kind of wave it around, and then you can kind of see the difference there. And that allows the rivet to seat inside that and pull up tight and form a really tight seal and compress well. I can show you in a second what it looks like without doing that on some practice material I riveted, and it didn't really seat too well. Alrighty, so this is a piece I was practicing on. I just got the rivet gun together and just did some practice stuff, which I'll show you at some point how that works. But this is the end result. You stick it through, it pulls from this side, it scrunches it together, captures the metal together. These were just some scrap pieces I had laying around, so I used them to practice on, and it held together pretty well. It almost looks, you know, pretty close to how they were before.
and it honestly held together pretty tight. I think I could have done tighter. Like that side, I think I was pressing together more than the other side, but really nice. So we're heading in to go grab our metal. It's Thursday morning, and got a call last night saying the order was ready to pick up. So my goal for today is to get it back up to the bus and paint them. And since obviously you see it's kind of rainy out, I got a big old tarp, and I'm gonna put a tarp over. We did have a tarp previously, but it wasn't big enough, so we got one that I think should go plenty down past the sides of the bus windows, and then it should be long enough. I might have to add the addition of the other tarp. We'll see. But basically, my plan is get that dry in there, set it up so that there's a drop cloth, drop plastic, set the sheets up against the walls on the side, and then we're gonna spray them with a paint sprayer. And I've got a gallon of Rust-Oleum, which I think I've got to figure out the math and look it up, but you have to put like 1 part mineral spirits paint thinner so you can spray it. But that all depends on how thick you want it, I think. So those are things I'm gonna have to look up. So yeah, fun day. Not really fun because of the weather, but I'm going to try to make it bearable with the covering of the bus. So should be fun. And then next week we'll get to the whatchamacallit. We'll get to putting the metal actually on. I have an order for rivets, and the rivets are not cheap. We'll say that. At least everywhere I looked. Cheapest price I could come up with was like 25-30 cents a piece. So definitely something to think about if you're doing a bus. Rivets aren't very cheap. So, all right, let's get to it. Second time's a charm. We finally got a tarp that's big enough to go down the sides. So now she'll be completely dried in the back. And then in the front here, sorry the fan's on, we are gonna use the second tarp to do that, I believe. Alrighty, so we have it set up in here pretty well. Got the tarp on so we won't get rain in here. We have a fan, we have light, we have air compressor, we have the paint here, Rust-Oleum. I also have some spray cans if I just need to touch up some stuff. And then I've got my measuring bucket that has all kinds of measurements. So hopefully they have a 9-to-1, and they have some other ones which I'll have to see.
Or what I can do is put four liters in there and leave a liter. We'll see. That's not 10 to 1, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Alright, so we got it loaded up in here, and we're just going to do some spraying here. I got a little valve adjustment, I think, on the, how much. Oh, there it's spraying a little bit. That's really... spraying so little.
Alright, I'm going to try not to ramble on this time. Okay, quick recap of the day. We got metal picked up, and we got it up here in the bus. Only able to put 2 between the wheel wells, so really only able to paint 4-ish at a time. And then we got to switch them around to do the other sides. We got a tarp big enough so that it's over the whole bus. Benefit of that is just I can work in here, kind of have a paint tent almost. I don't mind getting random splatter paint on that because the more corrosion resistance, the better. Anyway, I'm rambling on again. Yeah, I'm rambling on again. So we have these holes for these flashers up here, and I need to delete them somehow. And I cut out a very rough circle. In fact, I have a couple of them here. I did that with a jigsaw. Very, very nice knot. But it was all right, honestly. Not too bad. And then I matched the drill pattern that were already there
boom, 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 boom. This one's already completed, and by completed I mean it's had the initial testing phase completed, I guess you could say. All right, so this is what it looks like on the outside. There's a little bit of a gap you can see. You can fit, 1/8 of an inch, but that's because there's butyl rubber tape in that little gap there. And I don't know if I want to keep it because I think it needs to be less of a gap, but it did clamp down tight, and we'll see if water leaks. So it might be good. We'll see. I just did 4. I would do a lot more. I'd probably do boom, boom, 4 more on each so that they're more, there's that spot can lift up and water can introduce in there. This is not a good circle, and so I don't think I'm going to actually continue doing this because it looks terrible in my estimation. So that was literally a run of the moment kind of a thing. Thanks for watching, guys. This week has been interesting. I got the medal on the last day of my time off, so or my weekend essentially, I should say. And so wasn't able to really get a lot done with it as I wanted, but we'll be back next week, early next week, to continue on this and hopefully get a sheet or 2 of metal up. That'll be interesting. So, yeah. Thanks for watching.